New York City moves fast. People push past each other without eye contact, without a word, just chasing time. Every morning feels the same. Same station, same coffee, same stairs. That's what Emily thought too, until one day, it wasn't. She wasn't looking for trouble. She was just heading to work, climbing the stairs at 14th Street, minding her space, doing what everyone does, keeping to the right. In New York, that's the code. You stick to your side, they stick to theirs. But not everyone follows the rules. Emily didn't know it yet, but coming down those same stairs was someone who didn't care about codes or space or anyone but herself. A woman named Agata. Emily saw her at the last second, said excuse me, tried to shift over like any decent person would. But Agata? She didn't move. She slammed into her like it was personal. And that was just the beginning. At first, Emily froze. You would too. She didn't even know what just happened. One second she's walking, the next she's nearly knocked sideways. She stumbled but caught herself. A few people noticed, turned their heads. Nina, her coworker, looked up from her phone with a what the hell face. Carl paused his music and stepped aside a little. Agata kept walking like nothing happened. Emily looked back at her confused, not scared, just stunned. That's when Agata yelled, loud enough for half the station to hear, "Don't try me today." Her voice was sharp like she was daring Emily to respond, and Emily, still catching her breath, just said, "Stay to the right." No attitude, no curse words, just the basic reminder everyone already knows. That should have been it, but it wasn't. Emily thought it was over after the shouting. In New York, that's usually how it goes. Someone bumps into you, someone yells something, and then everyone moves on. But not this time. Not with Agata. She didn't just pass by or let it go. No, she stopped. While Emily took another step up the stairs, Agata lunged from behind and yanked her by the hair, hard. There was no warning. One moment Emily was walking, the next she was being pulled back down the steps. Her head jerked, feet slipped, and she stumbled down 2 stairs right into Agata's space. A couple of people around gasped. Someone shouted, but it all happened too fast. Agata was strong. Too strong. She wasn't just grabbing Emily. She was trying to slam her head into the cold metal banister. Emily panicked. No time to scream, no time to think. She didn't fight. She never fought. That was never her style. But she had pepper spray in her pocket. Always had it on her just in case. And now this was the case. Her body twisted, hands scrambling for balance. One hand clutched the railing, the other reached deep into her coat pocket and found it. Meanwhile, Agata was yanking and shaking her like a rag doll. Emily felt a handful of her own hair get ripped straight from her scalp. The pain was sharp, but adrenaline was taking over. She didn't even aim. She just turned, lifted her arm, and sprayed. The pepper spray hissed out fast, cutting through the air right into Agata's face. The woman shrieked, "Are you spraying me?" like she was the victim. She staggered back, grabbing at her eyes, furious and stunned. Emily kept spraying as she backed away, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. All she could think was, what if she comes after me again? The crowd scattered. People moved aside, watched, but no one helped. Just another day in the city. Emily didn't wait. She turned and ran, still clutching the pepper spray, still spraying a bit as she went just in case. Her hands were shaking, breath shallow, but she didn't stop until she was on the platform. No cops, no staff, just noise and motion and strangers, looking at her like she was the crazy one. She was late for work, her scalp was burning, but she was alive. And Agata? She was gone. The train was pulling in just as Emily reached the platform, and she stepped on like nothing happened. That's how it goes in New York. You can get attacked on a stairwell and still have to clock in on time. She stood there in the subway car, surrounded by strangers with earbuds in and eyes glued to their phones, all completely unaware that just a minute ago, someone tried to bash her skull into metal. No one asked if she was okay. No one even looked at her for more than a second. She was shaking, breathing too fast, gripping the pole with one hand and the pepper spray with the other. The doors shut. The train rumbled forward. And in the silence, it hit her. What the hell just happened? Emily touched her head. Her hair was tangled and sticky with sweat. She felt around her scalp and winced. There were spots where clumps had been ripped out. She even found strands of her own hair stuck to the sleeve of her jacket. Her eyes welled up, not from pain but from shock. It had all happened so fast, and now it was over like it never happened at all. No cops, no security, no cameras on that staircase. Just her, the bruises, and a memory that already felt unreal. She thought about going to the police, but what could she tell them? There was no name, no photo, no proof. Just a blurry memory of a face in the chaos. To be honest, she didn't even know if they'd do anything. So she went to work, on time, didn't mention it to her boss, didn't tell her coworkers, just sat at her desk, ran a hand through her hair, and hoped no one saw the spots where it was missing. Days passed. She thought about it less, or at least tried to, but every time she saw a staircase, every time someone brushed past her too fast, her whole body tensed. She started checking behind her when she walked, clenching her keys in her fist a little harder. She told herself it was just New York. Weird city with weird people. Nothing personal. And then, 4 days later, everything changed. Emily was scrolling TikTok, half asleep on her couch, just mindless videos in the background. That's when she saw her. Agatha, the woman from the train. She was right there in her feed, talking into her phone like she was doing some dramatic story time, except she wasn't talking about makeup or a date gone wrong. No, she was talking about the stairs, about Emily, about macing someone in the subway. She was talking about macing someone in the subway, and she posted it for views. Emily felt her pulse rise. Part of her wanted to scream. Another part wanted to laugh from the sheer stupidity of it all. She saved the video, watched it again, then again. It was real. It happened. And now she had proof.
Emily couldn't believe what she was seeing. This woman, Agatha, was literally broadcasting what she did. And not only that, she seemed proud of it. Like hurting someone on a subway staircase was just part of a normal day, something worth recording for likes. She talked straight into her camera with this casual, smug tone, even reenacting parts of it like it was funny. She didn't know how to fight, she said again, with a smirk, like Emily was weak for not throwing punches back. But it wasn't funny, not even close. Emily sat there with the phone in her lap, staring at it like it had just slapped her across the face. The memories came rushing back. The staircase, the hair pulling, the way her scalp still tingled when she ran her fingers through it. Her heart rate picked up again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was rage. Now she had something she didn't before. A face, a voice, a literal confession. Everything she tried to move past, everything she thought she'd just let go, was right there, filmed by the woman who'd attacked her. And she still had that time-stamped photo of the clump of hair Agatha ripped out. That wasn't just trauma anymore. That was evidence. The logical next step would have been obvious. Go to the police. But it wasn't that simple. Emily kept second-guessing herself. 4 days had passed. Would they take her seriously now? Would they tell her she waited too long? And what if Agatha flipped the story and claimed she was the victim? After all, Emily had used pepper spray, and not everyone would understand what led to that moment. She sat with those thoughts for a long time, kept replaying the video. Every time Agatha repeated, "I grabbed her first," it felt like a slap and a gift at the same time. Like, thank you for being so stupid, but also, how dare you? That night, Emily barely slept. Her body was tired, but her mind wouldn't quit. She kept jumping between tabs on her laptop, searching how long after an assault can you file a police report, Googling defense attorneys, checking if stairwells like that had hidden cameras somewhere she didn't notice. But something else started creeping in, something subtle but dangerous. Doubt. What if no one believes me? What if they say I provoked her? What if this turns into some stupid viral story and people start tearing it apart in the comments like I'm the bad guy? her stomach turned. Social media was a wild beast. It could chew you up for telling your truth just as fast as it could celebrate you. And Agatha, she already had a following, already had people laughing along with her story. Would reporting her even do anything? Or would it just bring more stress, more mess, more eyes? But deep down, Emily knew. This wasn't about views or likes. This was about what was right, what was fair. What would happen if she said nothing and Agatha did this to someone else next time?
Emily almost convinced herself to move on. She kept telling herself it wasn't worth it. The cops might not listen. The hassle might not be worth the energy. And besides, Agatha didn't even know her name. No one got arrested. No one filmed the actual fight. She thought, maybe I'll just stay quiet and forget about it, let her go. But that's the thing about trauma. You don't get to just flip it off like a switch. She'd still wince when someone brushed past her on the sidewalk. She started avoiding stairwells, even in her own building. One time, a woman behind her laughed a little too loudly, and Emily's body tensed like she was about to be attacked again. Then came Friday. Emily was grabbing a bagel and coffee at this little corner spot on 86th Street. She always liked that place. The guy at the counter knew her by name, even saved her a cinnamon raisin when they were running low. It was normal, routine, safe. Until she saw someone walk in behind her. Someone short, stocky, loud. And suddenly, her heart dropped. It was Agatha. She wasn't even in disguise or hiding, just casually scrolling her phone, waiting in line like nothing happened. Emily froze. It wasn't just fear this time. It was disbelief. Like, how is she just here, still walking around like she owns the city? For a moment, they made eye contact. A flicker of something passed over Agatha's face. Surprise? Guilt? Mockery? Emily couldn't tell. But Agatha looked away and ordered like nothing happened. Emily's hands were shaking. She grabbed her coffee and walked straight out. Her legs moved fast, but her mind moved faster. That was it. That was the moment she realized, if she doesn't speak up, Agatha wins. This woman could go around starting fights, assaulting strangers, and laughing about it online, while the people she hurt just disappeared into silence. No more. That same day, Emily went home, pulled out everything. The screenshots, the video, the photo of her hair, the timestamps. She drafted a detailed report. She even rehearsed what she'd say when she walked into the precinct. She knew there was a chance they'd roll their eyes. She knew it might go nowhere. But even if it didn't lead to an arrest, she wanted it on record. She wanted someone to know this happened and who did it. But just before heading out the door, she paused again. What if Agatha does find out who I am? What if she finds out where I live? What if she tries again? The fear tried one last time to take over. But this time, Emily had something stronger pushing back. Clarity. Agatha wasn't just a woman on the stairs anymore. She was a danger. And maybe, just maybe, someone needed to stop her before things got even worse.
The NYPD station near Emily's neighborhood wasn't exactly welcoming. She'd walked past it 100 times, always thinking of it as just part of the background. But now, standing outside those glass doors with a manila folder full of screenshots, photos, and shaky hope, she hesitated. She took a deep breath and stepped in. It smelled like old paperwork, cheap coffee, and something metallic. The officer at the front desk barely looked up from his keyboard. "Help you?" "Yeah," Emily said, steadying her voice. "I'd like to report an assault. I have evidence, video, and the person admitted to it online." That got his attention. They brought her into a small interview room, white walls, metal chairs, a buzzing light overhead that made everything feel colder than it already was. She explained the whole thing. The staircase, the attack, the pepper spray, and the TikTok video where Agatha practically bragged about starting it. Emily showed the screenshots, the clip, the photo of her torn-out hair. She expected skepticism. But what she got was surprise. The officer reviewing her report, Detective Harris,
older guy with sharp eyes and a worn-out notepad, glanced up after scrolling through the video. "You said this happened last Sunday, correct?" "Yeah," Emily replied. 4 days ago." He paused. "You're not the first person to mention her." Emily blinked. "What do you mean?" He closed the folder and leaned back slightly, fingers tapping the desk. "You're the first with video, but another woman came in yesterday. Similar complaint. Same description. Short, stocky, aggressive. Claimed she was shoved and threatened in a subway car. Didn't get a name, but it sounds like the same woman." Emily's blood went cold. This wasn't a one-time outburst. Agatha was a pattern, a walking, talking problem with fists. "Is she dangerous?" Emily asked. "She's unpredictable, and now that we have more than one incident tied to her, we're gonna pull her name and start digging. That TikTok post might be our ticket to finding her." A rush of mixed feelings hit Emily. Relief, sure, she wasn't crazy, but also dread, because this meant Agatha had done it again, and who knows how many others never came forward. As Harris made copies of her files, he looked at Emily again and said, "Thank you for showing up. Most people don't. They think it's not worth the trouble." It almost wasn't, but then I saw her, like nothing had happened. Before she left, he gave her a card and told her he'd follow up. Said they'd try to track her down, but warned her if Agatha found out Emily had reported her, she might try to retaliate. She needed to stay alert, maybe even change her commute for a while. Outside, the air felt heavy, like the city itself had been holding its breath. She looked down the street where crowds kept moving, trains kept running, and people still passed each other on staircases every day, unaware that one wrong moment could change everything.
That would be the end of it, or at least the start of something she'd be watching from a distance. She wasn't planning to chase Agatha, she just wanted peace. But the city wasn't done with her yet. That Friday night, Emily was sitting at her kitchen table, scrolling through messages while Oliver, Kevin's kid, played with a set of Legos on the rug. The kid had taken a liking to her ever since the incident. Maybe he sensed she was someone who had seen danger and didn't pretend it wasn't real. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "So you think you're brave now?" Emily froze. It wasn't just the words. It was the photo attached. A picture of her walking out at the subway, taken that morning. Her heart slammed in her chest. She stood up so fast, the chair screeched across the floor. "Oliver, come here." The boy looked up confused, but patted over quickly. Emily locked the door, pulled the curtains, and checked every window. Her mind raced. Could it really be her? Could Agatha have her number, her address? But Emily was careful. She never used her real account to post anything, never shared her location. She even used a throwaway email to contact the cops. Then it hit her. The tick-tock. The way Agatha told her side of the story. She was watching her, and she knew Emily was watching. And if she guessed who the account belonged to... Emily's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Next time you look behind you, don't blink. Enough was enough. She called Detective Harris immediately. He picked up on the second ring. "She's threatening me. I think she knows where I live." "Get somewhere safe. I'm sending someone." "But how?" "We think she's done this before. You're not the only one she's followed. We've identified her phone activity. She might have spoofed a number, but we're tracing it." That night, Kevin came over with his brother James, the one Emily had met briefly before, and the three of them sat together in the living room with the lights off, listening for every sound outside. James used to work security for events in Queens. He wasn't rattled easily. This woman doesn't want to fight. She wants control, and the moment you stop reacting, she loses it. Emily didn't sleep that night, and for the first time, neither did the city. Every siren, every shadow in the hallway outside her apartment, it all felt like Agatha.
It had been 3 days since the threatening texts, and the police still hadn't pinned down Agatha's exact location. Emily wasn't just scared anymore. She was angry. The fear had turned into something sharper, something that burned behind her ribs. Detective Harris was doing what he could, but he was cautious, always reminding her not to confront anything on her own. Easy to say, hard to do when the person who assaulted you might be watching you from across the street. Then, out of nowhere, a break. A woman named Sabrina reached out to Emily through a mutual acquaintance. She worked at a community center in Brooklyn, taught self-defense classes, ran after-school programs, and apparently she used to know Agata. They met in a cafe. Sabrina was in her early 30s, smart, alert, with eyes that had seen a lot more than they let on. She said Agata wasn't new at this, that she had been spiraling for years. Her older sister used to bring her to the community center when she needed help, but she never wanted help. She wanted control. Sabrina pulled out her phone and showed Emily a private video. Grainy, taken a few months back, outside the center. Agata was screaming at a young woman, no older than 20. In the video, Agata grabbed her by the collar and slammed her into a wall. It wasn't just a pattern. It was a cycle. Sabrina said Agata always slipped up eventually. Emily asked if the girl in the video ever came forward, but she had disappeared the next week. Just stopped showing up. Wouldn't answer text. Sabrina believed Agata scared her off. For Emily, this wasn't just personal anymore. There were others. And maybe if she kept quiet, this would all fade out. But what if someone else got hurt next? On her way home, she messaged the detective and told him she had found someone who knew Agata, someone with proof. He asked her to bring Sabrina in Monday morning. That night, Kevin called. His voice was heavier than usual. He told her he had heard something from Mia's friend, Mia, his missing wife. A woman used to hang around their building, loud, unstable, always starting arguments in the lobby. Her name? Agata. This wasn't just about Emily anymore. Agata had crossed paths with Kevin's family too. Emily and Sabrina arrived at the precinct just after 10 a.m. Monday morning. Detective Harris met them at the front desk, stone-faced as ever, but clearly more alert than usual. Sabrina handed over the video, along with the printed statement about everything she knew. Harris asked a lot of questions about Agatha's past, about the missing girl, about any connection to Mia, and took notes like his pen was on fire. When Sabrina mentioned Agatha's older sister, the detective paused. Apparently, they had questioned her once before in connection with a different case. Now that name was back on his radar. Outside the station, Emily felt a strange wave of calm. Not because things were fixed, they weren't, but because the silence was finally breaking. More people were stepping forward. The web was coming into focus. That evening, Kevin dropped by unannounced. He looked like he hadn't slept, held out his phone and showed Emily a photo from his building's old security camera. A blurry image of Agatha in the lobby, pacing, shouting at someone out of frame. Date stamp? 2 weeks before Mia disappeared. Kevin said he never noticed it before. Said he had just been searching for something, anything, and stumbled onto it. Emily's stomach turned. If Agatha had something to do with Mia's vanishing, this wasn't just about subway violence anymore. This was about people going missing. They both sat in silence for a while. Outside, the city rumbled on, oblivious. Inside, something was shifting. The chaos that Agatha left in her wake wasn't random. It was deliberate, patterned. And now, the pattern was breaking wide open. Emily and Sabrina arrived at the precinct just after 10 a.m. Monday morning. Detective Harris met them at the front desk, stone-faced as ever, but clearly more alert than usual. Sabrina handed over the video, along with a printed statement about everything she knew. Harris asked a lot of questions about Agatha's past, about the missing girl, about any connection to Mia, and took notes like his pen was on fire. When Sabrina mentioned Agatha's older sister, the detective paused. Apparently, they had questioned her once before in connection with a different case. Now that name was back on his radar. Outside the station, Emily felt a strange wave of calm. Not because things were fixed, they weren't, but because the silence was finally breaking. More people were stepping forward. The web was coming into focus. That evening, Kevin dropped by unannounced. He looked like he hadn't slept. held out his phone and showed Emily a photo from his building's old security camera. A blurry image of Agatha in the lobby, pacing, shouting at someone out of frame. Date stamp, 2 weeks before Mia disappeared. Kevin said he never noticed it before. Said he had just been searching for something, anything, and stumbled onto it. Emily's stomach turned. If Agatha had something to do with Mia's vanishing, this wasn't just about subway violence anymore. This was about people going missing. They both sat in silence for a while. Outside, the city rumbled on, oblivious. Inside, something was shifting. The chaos that Agatha left in her wake wasn't random. It was deliberate, patterned. And now the pattern was breaking wide open. 3 days later, they got a call. Not from the police, but from David, the elderly man Emily had helped after the attack. He sounded shaken. He had seen Agatha again, this time outside a deli near East 6th. She was alone, talking to herself, but holding something, a child's backpack. Emily and Kevin rushed to the spot. She was gone, of course, but they found the deli owner, a man named Theo, who confirmed the sighting. Said she looked out of her mind. Said she asked if the deli sold toy trains, then wandered off down the street, mumbling about her sister. Theo had kept the backpack when she left it behind. Inside, a crumpled photo of 2 children, clearly siblings, and a bracelet engraved with the name Oliver. That was the missing boy, Mia's son. The police took it from there. They found Agatha 2 days later, hiding in an abandoned apartment across the river in Queens. She was delirious, paranoid, but unharmed. Mia wasn't with her. Neither was Oliver. But Agatha talked, and what she said made no sense and perfect sense at the same time. There was another woman involved, someone older, someone who made Agatha do things, someone she was afraid of. And when they traced that name back to a woman named Lena, it led them to a farmhouse upstate. That's where they found Mia, exhausted, dehydrated, but alive, and Oliver, asleep in her arms. It took hours to process, the relief, the fear, and the anger, but for the first time in weeks, the story had an ending. Emily stood in the station days later, watching the trains rush past. Life hadn't slowed down, but something in her had. Something was quieter now, still alert, but at peace. Sometimes monsters wear no mask, and sometimes it takes strangers and accidents and pepper spray and subway stairs to find them. But they can be found and stopped.